This is the Transportation TV News Update. I'm Tony Dorsey reporting.
On this, we agree on infrastructure, and we think
27 days following this, the first meeting of the House and Senate conferees working to hammer out an agreement on a long-term surface transportation reauthorization bill, committee members received an urgent letter from 11 transportation organizations, including the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials, AASHTO. Dated June 5th, the letter reads, quote, "We are deeply concerned about reports that suggest that progress is not being made in conference negotiations that will lead to completion of work by June 30th. We urge that serious action be taken immediately, and we are prepared to work with all parties to reach a successful outcome." Also on June 5th, the Washington Post reported that 2 U.S. senators, California Democrat Barbara Boxer, chair of the Senate Environment and Public Works Committee, and the committee's ranking member, Oklahoma Republican Senator James Inhofe, hand-delivered a critical transportation funding plan to their colleagues in the House. Speaking of Boxer and Inhofe's actions, transportation reporter Ashley Halsey goes on to write, "Their symbolic mission was intended as a show of good faith in a Congress where trust has been in short supply." Halsey goes on to point out that the move also underscores predictions of, quote, "disastrous consequences if funding issues are not resolved before a June 30th deadline." On June 30th, the 9th extension of legislation authorizing funding for the nation's highway and transit programs will expire unless Congress takes action. Jack Basso, AASHTO's Director of Program Finance and Management, a nationally recognized expert on transportation funding, is quoted in the Washington Post article saying, "The unemployment situation is bad, and it's only going to get worse if we don't get this straightened out." According to the article, in addition to supporting by one estimate 2.9 million construction jobs, the proposal, or Highway and Transit Bill, is designed to avert an impending funding crisis when the Highway Trust Fund runs out of money in the next fiscal year. The negotiations continue. We'll keep you posted. Also this week, more news from the AASHTO Spring Meeting, held May 18th through the 20th in Traverse City, Michigan. Reauthorization was just one of several topics discussed at a workshop of the Special Committee on Intermodal Transportation and Economic Expansion, held May 18th. Committee Chairman, Florida DOT's Assistant Secretary for Intermodal Systems Development, Richard Biter, says one of the group's major objectives is to help shape a national freight policy that takes into account the needs of each individual state.
We need to make strategic investments with our limited dollars, again, at all levels of government, so that we ensure, freight mobility, the velocity of trucks, of trains, and so forth, to be able to, get those economies of scale. So what we do, and one of the purposes of this committee, is bring some of the, experts at, particularly at the state level, along with our, federal partners, and come in and say, how do we move this forward?
In other news, AASHTO's TRAC and RIDES youth education programs received a lot of attention at the spring meeting. RIDES is a kindergarten through 8th grade program, and while TRAC is used in high school, the goal of both programs is to create tomorrow's civil engineers by exposing young people to math and science early and often. Is there a chance you might be an engineer someday?
There's a definite chance, probably a mechanical engineer.
And do you think this class played a role in your decision?
I think it played a huge role, like making our proposal to get here and the presentation we're going to do and constructing and being around all these professional people with backgrounds in this area. I think it'll help a lot.
9 TRAC and RIDES teams from schools in Mississippi, Michigan, and New Hampshire competed for some major prize money in a miniature bridge building competition held at the spring meeting. This event and the programs themselves are sponsored by corporations like Bentley Systems Incorporated, a leader in engineering software for sustaining infrastructure.
Our commitment is to always be the anchor sponsor, that they can always rely on a generous check there that covers the minimum cost. But as we add more states, as we add more students, we need more sponsors. So Comm was the first major company, one of also the premier sponsors like us, to commit to being a national sponsor. We need and want more national sponsors, And then the vision is out there even to have individual state sponsors. So it might not be a national design company, but a state sponsor would allow, say, a design consulting company, a contractor, a consultant, a construction company in the state of, say, Rhode Island to be the Rhode Island State TRAC sponsor.
The competition was fierce, each bridge judged in multiple ways. Penelope Dow's team from Tupelo High School in Tupelo, Mississippi, took home one of the top prizes.
We were just like, oh, I hope we beat at least one team, you know. We just won some bragging rights. So basically, we didn't know we were going to win first place.
How does it feel?
It was so exciting. I was like really nervous, and when they announced it, it just felt really good. I mean, how else can you feel?
Learn more about track and rides online at www.trac.net. That's the Transportation TV News Update. Thanks for watching.